Hello, my name is Vanshika Agarwal, and I would like to share my experience of interview at SIBM Pune. So let's go on. Now, starting with the general information, it was held on 13th February 2025, and it started at 7 a.m. as in it was the morning slot. So what we are supposed to do was that it was supposed to start at 7 a.m. and we were required to report at 6:30 a.m. So then the process went like this that first there was attendance, then it was group exercise, then it was document verification, and then it was personal interview. So the last part, as in the DV and the PI, might differ for person to person. In my case, DV was first and PI was later. Then the waiting time was approximately 50 minutes. Now over here, via waiting time, what I'm trying to justify is like at 6:30 we were supposed to report, but they started the meeting at 7:30. So it was approximately an hour of waiting time even before starting the meeting itself. And when we joined finally at 7:30, then we had approximately 145 people in that meeting, and there were approximately 15 people who belonged to the college itself, as in the authorities, the students, and everyone, and 130 were the aspirants, as in the candidates. Then apart from that, after having like initial discussion, I would not say discussion, but after initial settlement of the candidates, as in changing their name from the normal name to the particular pattern which was required to. Now we moved on towards the attendance part. So it started at approximately 7:50 a.m. As I already told you that at 7:30 the gates were open, that metaphorical gates obviously, and approximately 15-20 minutes were there to settle down, and at 7:50 a.m the attendance had been initiated. So again, there were three documents which were required. First one, your ID proof, then it was your admit card, and then it was your SIBM call letter. Then apart from that, after the attendance, we were asked to wait over there. So what happened during this period of time was that there were approximately two videos, as in some presentation kind of a thing, which were provided by the student, which were given by the student of the SIBM. Then the interesting thing over here was that they also had a, you could say, kind of an introductory session from the director perspective. First, there was a video which was recorded by the director himself, as in probably explaining his, you could say, experience over there, or maybe what they are expecting in or in the candidate himself or herself, or maybe how calm and composed a person needs to be during the whole procedure. So it was something related to that only, some general stuff and everything. Then later on, they added the director himself in the during the whole procedure, so that we could have a one-to-one discussion with the person, with the director. So it lasted for approximately, was 15 to 20 minutes, as in it was an open floor. Anyone could ask him the questions, and apparent and he was very he was very calm and composed in the whole procedure, and the whole experience was pretty good, as in the director was very sweet, and he no matter how absurd the questions were, but he handled them pretty you could say pretty swiftly and pretty smoothly. So after that, after this whole procedure, I think it lasted a good amount of time. As you could clearly see, it started at 7:50 as in the attendance time, and then at 8:45 we were headed towards a group exercise breakout room. Then after that, what happened was that this was the problem which we were provided with. They were approximately, you could say, as far as I remember, I think there were eight people in our GE process, apart from the two panelists. Then initially, the basic structure, as in we were provided 1.5 minutes to think about the problem, and then 30 seconds were given individual on an individual basis, so that we could introduce the problem from our perspective. So this was the problem which were provided, and as you could clearly see, as in you could pause over here and read it yourself. So this was a very basic problem, as in it was related to obesity. So this was the problem which we were provided with. Then what happened was that again, as I mentioned, that 2 minutes were given to think about the problem. Then 30 seconds were given on an individual basis in order to provide an introductory session from your perspective. And later on, they were approximately, you could say that 10 minutes were provided in order to have that group exercise. So over there, all we were required to do was just share our point of view in a more elongated manner, as you could clearly see. And obviously, we had to come to a conclusion, as in, is there any solution to obesity, or if there is any, would you like to, could you recommend a few? So this was the group exercise. And later on, the interesting part over here was what usually happened up till now in case of GEs. Like after discussing, there was only one person who was supposed to give the conclusion, as in, someone who took the responsibility or something like that. But in this case, each and every individual was required to give a conclusion from their perspective. And it lasted, you could say, again, it was for approximately 30 seconds. Then, after completion of GE, we were again headed to another breakout room. Now, we waited over there for, you could say, now it lasted for a good amount of time before the whole DV procedure was initiated. Now, the DV procedure, as you could see, it started at 10:15 a.m. And the documents required were, as far as I remember, they were basic documents like your 10th mark sheet, your 12th mark sheet, your, you could say, the degree, your like in my case it was BCom, so all the 3-year mark sheets, and apart from that I had work experience, so certificate of relieving certificates, and you could say certificate of experience. These kind of documents were required, but over here in the intro as in the mail which I received initially before the initiation of the whole interview procedure, what they expected from us was that if just in case the person is not able to probably view the documents via the camera itself, like what we used to do usually is that we used to hold the particular document in front of the camera and the person used to check it via the camera itself. Now, just in case if because of some XYZ reason this is not able to happen, so they expected from us to make the PDF of all the documents so that if and when required, we could share our screen and the person could have a clearer view. So basic stuff. Now, just a second. Yes. So after the DB, we were again shifted back to the breakout room. Now, moving on to the main picture, that is the personal interview. So let's move on over there. So it started at 11:15 in my case, and the duration of the interview lasted for approximately 15 minutes. Now, in my case, there were two people and both were males. Moving on. Now, over here, there was no specific distinction. As in, up till now, what happened was in all of my interviews, if one person is asking the question, now it's only that person who would be asking the questions. And when he would be exhausted, he or she would be exhausted, then the ball would be shifted to someone else's court. But over here, it was back and forth with respect to both the panelists. So, in order to make things clear, what we have done is that we have shifted all the questions related to panelist one in one particular slide and panelist two in the other slide in order to make the things more clear. So moving on, in case of panelist one, first question, obviously tell me something about yourself. Now, considering that in my case, the most of the profile is related, as in it's dominated by finance. So the next question was stock market regulatory body, major stock exchange, basic questions, nothing much, as in, one word questions, that's it. Then apart from that, over here, the interesting part was that in my case, you could probably say that I had completed CFP, that is Certified Financial Planner. So there was a segment called insurance over there, but it was a proxy. You could say that I learned about it in my first year. So, but they had questions related to that as well. So it's important that whatever you are showing in your particular profile, you are very clear with respect to everything over there. So there were a few questions related to insurance. As you could clearly see, the regulatory body, what is term insurance, what is endowment insurance. Now, the next question, again, financial goals of an individual was related to CFP itself. So as you could see that more focus was towards CFP rather than CFP, which is somewhat shocking, but it's important that you are very, very, very clear with respect to whatever you have shown on your profile. Then again, the basic stuff, what should be the breakup salary of an individual? Then again, accumulation and distribution phase. Then moving on towards the panelist number two. Now he asked me the question, what is, as in why MD? Again, a basic question. I had prepared an answer. I delivered the same. Now, what happened during the whole interview procedure was that he was pretty adamant with respect to probably convincing me as an MBA might not be the next best option for you. Considering that I had already completed CFP, he was, pretty much convinced that MBA would probably not provide you any sort of, value to your profile, as in it would not result in increasing any opportunities in your case. So you could probably assume that in this whole 15 minutes procedure, it happened a minimum of 3 to 4 times wherein he tried to share that particular point of view, and he was expecting that kind of an approval from my side as well. So it's very important that you don't accept this particular thing that MBA might not be a good fit for you. At the end of the day, I am not sure that whether I was able to convince the interviewer or not, but you should never accept the same that he might be thinking right in that perspective. So yes, this is one thing which is very, which should be very clear in your point. No matter how you could say absurd your reasons might be, but it's important that you're not convinced from him. So moving on to the next question, why don't you prefer abroad for masters? As in, the basic question, as in, why are you preferring the Indian colleges only? Now, these are the few questions which are related to my profile, I would say only. That is finance related only, CAPM, different Greeks, Black Scholes model and everything, beta and everything. Now, what happened was that I had even shown him that I had a hobby. I mean, I have a hobby of trading, and wherein I had specified that I have been managing some money of my family and friends. So, in order to check for the same, as in whether I was actually doing the same, what he asked me for, considering the current scenario, he asked me that how my portfolio had been performing from the past 6 months, and what are my expectations. As in, obviously, if you are trading, it's important that you have an expectation for the market, as in how the economy is going to perform as a whole, in a whole. So the next question was related to that. So again and again, I might, at the risk of boring you, or maybe probably fading your interest or anything like that, but please be very very thorough with whatever things that you have put on your profile. Now, next one, why should we reject you? So over here, honestly, I couldn't think of any reason, as in, probably expected some weakness from my side. But considering how the whole interview was moving forward, as in the interviewer himself was probably, continuously trying to convince me that MBA was not right for me. So I considered his reason only in order to in order to answer this question. As in, I just told him that, I probably don't have any reason why you should reject me, but on top of my mind, what I could think of is, considering that you had been adamant that this program might not be beneficial for you. So, considering this thought process, you might reject. So that's all from my side. With this, we conclude. Yeah, obviously the next one. Do you have any queries for us? If you do, then only you ask. Don't make up anything at that point of time. Now, with this, the whole procedure was ended, and I would only like to recommend you. It was a very swift procedure, nothing to worry about it. And in fact, for that matter, most of the colleges out there have a very swift procedure. Just stay calm, stay composed. I'm pretty much sure that you would be able to get through it. Thank you.